Okay, we're recording. Awesome, guys. Happy Halloween to you. I don't know if any of you guys are doing anything fun tonight. No, going about trick-or-treating with my kids and stuff, and had to dress up as something. So I have a Slytherin shirt on right here. So, I guess I was sorted into that house. So no problem there. Okay, guys, welcome. This will be basically lesson 2 in personal finance. What I'm going to do, let's just kind of go over this couple things. Remember, this lesson is being recorded for learning purposes. And classroom expectations real quick. Make sure you're following along with the Nearpod lesson, using the chat tools respectfully and appropriately, and then also respond to questions and instructions the first time. So if we just kind of make sure we do that. I am going to, before we get into this lesson objective, jump over to our course, just so you're familiar with it. I do post the recordings right to the course announcement, so nice and easy. Just click play if you need to, or if you miss a time. If we look at the calendar here, just want to go over some stuff. So we're almost into November, if you can believe that. So anything that's assigned to you on Monday will be kind of like due on Friday. So I put all these down as due. So we have quiz 8 to quiz, well, I think they didn't go in order, to quiz 13 maybe. Yeah, quiz 8 to quiz 13. Okay. So that's what we'll be due this week. I'll show you where kind of go to get it. As you can see here, we have live class every Monday, of course, if you can make it. If not, you can just hit up the recording on the announcements. Thanksgiving break's coming up. We have winter break coming up. And then we have the last day of the block, which is the 12th. Okay. So things are going along just nicely. One thing that I did as well is I unlocked every single unit now. So if you would like to go ahead and just, knock out the course or whatever, you can feel free to do that now too. Okay. So if you want to move ahead, that's not a problem. This week is actually module number 3, which is in unit 1. Oh, where am I at? Oh, module 3 in unit 1. And then also module 4. Okay. Due this Friday. So as I said, quizzes 8 to 13. Watch the videos and that. If you do that, do you have to come to class? Yeah, I don't give like class participation for coming to class. So if you get them done, that's great. Okay. All right, back to the Nearpod real quick here. So what our lesson objective is today. So given quizzes in the OLS, students will accurately answer multiple choice questions about how setting goals affects personal finance planning and identifying sources of income and specific employment ability and skills with 80% accuracy across one trial. And one of the things we're going to talk about is being able to find a profession that's going to pay for your lifestyle. Because some of us have some big lifestyles, okay? So we kind of already talked about where we should be in the course. But let's get off to just watching this video real quick, and then we'll have some discussion and kind of go from there.
A financial planning process involves figuring out where you'd like to be, where you are, and how to go from here to there. More formally, a financial planning process means the following: defining goals, assessing the current situation, identifying choices, evaluating choices, choosing, assessing the resulting situation, redefining goals, identifying new choices, evaluating new choices, choosing, and assessing the resulting situation over and over again. Personal circumstances change and the economy changes, so your plans must be flexible enough to adapt to those changes, yet be steady enough to eventually achieve long-term goals. Defining goals. Figuring out where you want to go is a process of defining goals. You have shorter-term 1 to 2 years, intermediate 2 to 10 years, and longer-term goals that are quite realistic, and goals that are more wishful. Setting goals is a skill that usually improves with experience. According to a popular model, to be truly useful, goals must be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely, or SMART. Short-term goals include things like saving money in an emergency fund, increasing savings, and reducing debt. Intermediate goals include things like saving for a down payment on a house, saving to buy a car with cash, paying off student loan debt, or saving for a big trip or purchase. Long-term goals include saving for retirement, paying off a house, and saving for college for your children or grandchildren. Goals change over time, and certainly over a lifetime. Whatever your goals, however, life is complicated and risky, and having a plan and a method to reach your goals increases the odds of doing so. For example, after graduating from college, Alice has an immediate focus on earning income to provide for living expenses and debt from student loan obligations. Within the next decade, she foresees having a family. If so, she will want to purchase a house and perhaps start saving for her children's educations. Her income will have to provide for her increased expenses and also generate a surplus that can be saved to accumulate these assets. In the long term, she will want to be able to retire and derive all her income from her accumulated assets, and perhaps travel around the world in a sailboat. She will have to have accumulated enough assets to provide for her retirement income and for the travel.
All right. So talking about goals all take resources to be able to accomplish, right? So you may not have like super long-term goals right now. Like I got some super long-term goals where I have investment accounts and stuff like that where I'm putting a bunch of money in. But you may have more like short-term goals because you haven't looked that far down the thing. But somebody put on, I want to graduate a year early. I think that's awesome, right? You can get started off on whatever you want to do, whether that's college, work, whatever you want to do. But what are some other goals that maybe you guys have set forth? And for those that haven't done it yet, let me jump the Nearpod link in the chat if you need to jump in there. What are some other goals that you have? Okay. Make a Roth IRA. That's actually a really good one. Okay. It's a good investment account to be able to kind of work in there. All right. To be a doctor, that's a fairly long-term goal, but that's really good. So you got to think of the resources that it will take to accomplish that goal, right? So being a doctor, probably there's two ways I can think of right now. There may be more, right? One is you could do it through, going, getting student loans, that kind of stuff. And the other one is military track, right? If you give so many, like 4 years to the military, your school will be paid for after that. Just some ways, think of it. All A's in school, that looks good. Graduate with good grades, go to college, get straight A's for senior year, get first job that has a 401k. Very good. Yeah, those benefits I think are really important. I guess in particular for me and my family, the health insurance part of it, because apparently my kids just like to get hurt all the time or we're going to the doctor all the time. So for that. Get an Xbox, VR headset, job, and Windows PC. Okay. Yep. Those are good. Might want to think about ways like how you could make money from some of those, right? Just thought there. Okay. But those are some good goals that you guys have overall there. Okay. So short-term financial goals, right? They kind of talked about those already. Something like graduating from school for you guys or opening a bank account, little things like that. Little midterm goals is, something like graduate from college, right? Would probably be in your guys' thing, or purchasing a car, moving out of the house, right? That would be like a maybe more of a middle term goal. I thought I had some more there. And then long-term goals, right, as you talked about, is like saving for retirement and that kind of stuff, which you probably think that's way too far away. But if you start now, it's a lot easier to get where you want to be. Okay. All right, so let's play this one and we'll talk a little bit more.
What is the cost of living? Cost of living is the amount of money needed to sustain a certain level of living, including basic expenses such as housing, food, taxes, and healthcare. Cost of living is often used to compare how expensive it is to live in one city versus another. Cost of living is tied to wages, as salary levels are measured against expenses required to maintain a basic standard of living throughout specific geographic regions. Cost of living can be a significant factor in the personal wealth accumulation because a smaller salary can go further in a city where it doesn't cost a lot to get by, while a large salary can seem insufficient in an expensive city. According to Mercer's 2015 Cost of Living Survey, cities with the highest cost of living standards included Tokyo, Osaka, Moscow, Geneva, Hong Kong, Zurich, Copenhagen, and New York City. U.S. cities with a high cost of living as of 2015 included Honolulu, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., and San Francisco. A cost of living index compares the cost of living in a major city as compared to the corresponding metropolitan area. The index incorporates the expense of various components that comprise basic human needs, creating an aggregate measure to which new entrants into the workforce may refer. As college graduates weigh employment alternatives and currently employed job seekers consider relocation, the index provides an informative snapshot of rental, transportation, and grocery costs. In 2016, using New York City as a benchmark for other U.S. cities, San Francisco maintains the highest cost of living in the Americas. Rental costs in San Francisco are about 3% higher than in New York, and food prices sit 22% above corresponding levels found in New York. By contrast, the citizens of Reno, Nevada enjoy a cost of living approximately 43% below that of New York residents when analyzing basic expenses on an aggregate basis. For a family with 2 adults and 2 children, the average cost of living in the United States hovered around $65,000 per year in 2015. The figure does exclude discretionary spending on non-essential goods and services such as leisure, entertainment, and luxury items. The debate over raising the U.S. federal minimum wage is deeply rooted in the disparity between the lowest wage allowed by law and the earnings needed to maintain an adequate cost of living. Proponents of a minimum wage hike found that productivity levels of workers increased since 1968 as unequally correlated to the minimum hourly rate of pay in 2012. As the minimum wage once tracked the increase in productivity, the divergence between earnings and worker efficiency have reached historically disproportionate levels. By contrast, opponents of a minimum wage increase contend that a raise could spur higher consumer prices as employers offset rising labor costs.
All right. So this is a variable that you need to look at. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and put this in the chat. So what you talked about was cost of living. So my daughter, who's only 11 years old, she's very curious right now about how much do things cost, right? She's like, well, how much do you make? How much does this cost? How much does this cost, right? Which is good, right? And I don't really tell her a lot of stuff, but it's good to know how much it would cost to live in a certain area, right? If you were to move somewhere else. So Utah, the cost of living is probably medium in regards to places in the United States. And right now we're only looking at places in the United States in regards to this calculator. But what you can do, right, is you just go in here and you put your current city. I don't even know if they have Ogden. They do. They have Ogden, Utah. So I live close to Ogden. Okay. And then a new city. So let's say I wanted to live in, where's a place I should live? Or someplace fun. I like Florida, right? So let's put somewhere in Florida because I want the warmer weather. Florida. Okay, so we got where I want to move. Okay, so I want to move somewhere to the beach. Orlando's not on the beach. I like Tampa a lot. I don't know if you guys have been to Tampa. So Tampa's kind of fun. So let's say I made $50,000 a year. Okay, here. And to maintain my current lifestyle that I have, I'd have to make $47,600. So it's actually 5% lower to live in Tampa, Florida. Okay. So the housing costs, like to rent a thing in Ogden's actually higher than in Tampa. The median home prices is almost $100,000 less. Transportation's a little bit lower. The price of food is about 14% higher there, right? But my biggest thing I'm going to save on is the housing. Housing is a lot cheaper than it is, and I think you find that a lot. Like Utah's a hot spot for real estate right now. But we can try another place. So let's bump this up to 100,000. So $100,000 a year, and let's say I want to move to. Does anybody have a preference somewhere? Maybe I like. I've always thought about moving to Texas. Actually, Texas. Okay, Austin. Austin's like a place a bunch of people are moving. Okay, so to keep my same standard of living, I would have to make 106,000 compared to my 100,000. So it's actually costs more to live in Austin, Texas, 6% higher. Oh, you used to live there? Awesome. What part of Texas? Looks like food's lower, food's higher, entertainment's higher. Transportation's lower though. Housing prices is just about the same. Okay, but it's more expensive to rent there, it looks like, than own a home. So I look at maybe buying a home if I were to live there. So this is kind of fun to do. So what I want you guys to do is make sure you're going to that link that I sent you and look at something like that. Okay. So another one, I love Alaska only during the let's talk about Fairbanks. Fairbanks. Okay, so I'll go to Fairbanks. Now look at this. I'd have to make another $32,500 if I was making $100,000 a year. So 32% higher. Yep, it is expensive. Housing. Look at the house. Woo. $350,000. Median price is $440,000, and that's because it's harder to get things in Alaska, right? Oh, here's my other favorite one to do: Hawaii. Everybody wants to go to Hawaii, right? Honolulu, Hawaii. Woo! Look at this. It is 112% higher. Okay, James, why don't you do Manchester? Okay, I want everybody to do this on their own because our next near pod we're gonna discuss where you guys went and see if it's higher or lower. Okay, so I'd have to live the same quality of life here at 11,000, a $350,000 home over there, or in Ogden, the median price. Their median house price is 1.5 million. Okay, everything's higher because it's on an island, right? Trying to get things. Healthcare, entertainment, food is extraordinary high. Transportation costs are extremely high. Wow. I'm not going to be moving to Hawaii anytime soon. Let's just say that. Okay. All right. So what I want you guys to do, use that. And I want you to put in here in the near pod, where did you want to move to? Okay. And was the cost higher or lower? Okay. I think you'd be a little bit surprised. Like if I go back here and I actually go to, it's really cheap to live in the South. So like something like Alabama. Alabama. Okay. Let's say we went to Huntsville, Alabama. Yeah, it's a little bit lower, 5% lower. Interesting. I heard Tennessee is a fairly cheap area to live in. So let's move to Chinacucci. Not that much lower. Interesting. I thought Tennessee there was some. Was not. But anyways, if you're looking to find a place that it's going to be a little bit, cheaper to live. Oh, right here. Live in Memphis, 14% lower. Okay. Everything's lower across the board. Okay, let's see what some of you guys put anything. Okay, I would like to move either to Sweden or Japan. Okay. I haven't done a lot of things. Let me see if I can find one on this other screen here. Cost of living comparison. International. Okay, I want to move to, you said Sweden, right? Stockholm, maybe. All right, so this one doesn't give a ton of things, but this one talks about cost of living in Stockholm, Sweden is 10% cheaper than in the United States. There it goes. That gives a good breakdown of what everything is. Clothing, housing. There's some places in Spain which is really cheap. Looks like clothing's more expensive over there, but hey, order from the United States, right? Okay. All right. I want to move to Texas, and it was a lower in cost. Awesome. Japan would be fun, and Interplus. I think Japan is fairly expensive to live in Japan. I guess we could do that. Let me see here. And I think you said that. So, 26% cheaper. Wow. 26% cheaper. It's actually really good. Housing is a lot cheaper. That's probably what's doing it, is the housing isn't as expensive. So food. Stupid ads. Okay. Wow. Maybe that's the place to go. So very good. Interesting place to live. Let's go to Nashville. It's lower. Pennsylvania. Okay. Like to move to Alaska. Yeah, it's just expensive over there. Some places. Twins Fall was not much higher than Utah. Yeah, usually most places around each other are fairly common, but it's kind of good to kind of see. So this is something you need to take into account when thinking about where to live. One thing that people do is if they can't make it in a certain area because it's so expensive, they move to another area that the cost of living is cheaper. Okay, so just something to think about. Okay, well, that is the end of the class. If you have any questions, you can contact me. Just once again, I'm going to jump over here. Let's do this week is quiz 8 through quiz 13, and that can be found in modules 3 and module 4. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions. I'll stick around to be there. No next week because they have it. Don't leave tax out of price tag. Yep. Okay. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And once again, you guys can move forward on the class. I'll stop the recording now, but let me know if you have any questions.